Coming up on today's show, Jaguar puts the iPace through some impressive range testing, Daimler hires a Model X, then takes it apart before returning it to its owner, and the growing uncertainty around Tesla's claims for the Tesla Semi. These stories and more coming next on 10. This is 10 from Transport Evolve, the roundup show that takes the week's news in the world of cleaner, greener, safer and smarter transport and gives it to you in a bite-sized form just in time for the weekend. So kick back and enjoy. It's Friday, December 8th, 2017. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield, and if you're wondering why we've been a little low on content this week, it's because I've been busy in California driving the new 2018 Nissan Leaf. More on that later. We start today's show with a Jaguar I-Pace, a car that has yet to launch but's been generating a lot of interest of late thanks to the appearance of 2 out of its fleet of 200 pre-production prototypes at the Los Angeles Auto Show last week. As part of its time in LA, Jaguar gave rides to potential customers, giving them a chance to see if the soon-to-launch crossover SUV would meet their needs. One customer was Anne Voyer from Pasadena, who Jaguar took on her favourite drive along the west coast from LA to Morro Bay, a trip of 200 miles, which of course the car managed without a problem. Jaguar produced a video about it, which I'll leave a link to in the notes below. Of course, one brand that I'm sure Jaguar will be keen for the I-Pace to cross-shop against is Tesla, whose Model X is currently the king of electric SUVs. And that means that plenty of competitors are buying their own cars, either indirectly or directly, so that they can dismantle the Model X to figure out just what makes it tick. This practice of reverse engineering isn't exactly a secret in the wider automotive world, but this week we heard that Daimler, parent company of Mercedes-Benz, was so desperate to reverse engineer a Model X that it rented one for 6 weeks over the past summer through a peer-to-peer car rental scheme, just so it could take it apart. The owners of the car would have been none the wiser were it not for the fact that the car was returned pretty heavily damaged and the owners were keeping an eye on the car through Tesla's telematics system. Oh, Daimler. Naughty, naughty. Sticking with Tesla a little longer, Tesla Model 3 customers who were among the first wave to be given a chance to spec their Model 3 cars could be receiving them as early as next week. That's according to several sources and customers who say they've been given delivery dates by sometime next week by Tesla. Of course, those customers who are getting their Model 3 are the ones who've opted for the more expensive, high-end Model 3, complete with long-range battery pack and premium package, not the entry-level headline-grabbing $35,000 Model 3. Customers who want the more affordable version will have a little while to wait before they'll get their car. But that said, it's good to see Tesla finally delivering to private customers at last, just after 5 months of official production Model 3s rolled off the production line. Of course, one of the advantages Tesla has over other automakers when it comes to electric cars is its supercharger network, which is both comprehensive and quick at refueling customers' cars. And as many of you have commented on here before, and I agree, rapid charging really will help make electric cars more palatable for the person on the street. Which is why you'll probably be pleased to hear that BMW and Porsche have announced that they're joining forces, along with other important stakeholders from infrastructure providers, to work on a new 450 kilowatt DC quick charge standard that will be capable of refueling the battery pack of a long-range electric car in just 15 minutes. That's less than the time it takes to grab a coffee, or, if you happen to be at a busy petrol station, less than the time it takes to queue for petrol. Tesla and other automakers are also working on similar solutions, so it really is great news to see so many different higher-powered charging standards entering the laboratory, with some of them hopefully making their way to production. For some time now, BMW has been promising us a heavily expanded lineup of plug-in models, including an additional BMW i-branded car or two, as well as all-electric variants of mainstream models. Well, this week, BMW CEO Harald Krüger confirmed that BMW would be working on bringing an all-electric X3 to market in 2020. That vehicle, in his words, will bring together the X and I parts of the BMW family. What's more, with BMW securing another batch of names from iX1 through to iX9, it looks like at least 9 of the 12 electric vehicles BMW is bringing to market in the next few years will be a crossover. Bring on 2020. Staying with vehicles that haven't yet made it to market, we heard this week that Ford has planned to switch production of its first long-range electric car, a 300-mile, 500-kilometer crossover, from Michigan to Mexico. According to an internal memo leaked this week, the reasons for the switch are so that Ford can focus on autonomous vehicle technology at its Flat Rock, Michigan facility, where the 2020 model year crossover had originally been planned for production. Why the switch? Well, I'm guessing it will help Ford with overheads for electric vehicle production, while keeping its autonomous vehicle production nearer to the place where it's doing most of its autonomous vehicle research. Makes sense, I suppose. With the start of December now upon us, it's time to touch base with the monthly sales figures for the US, and just like last month, the Chevrolet Bolt EV had an impressive time, falling just 13 units shy of 3,000 sales. Meanwhile, the outgoing Nissan Leaf sold just 175 units, which is no surprise considering the next-gen Leaf goes on sale in the US next month. But perhaps the most excitement came from the Chevrolet Volt and Prius Prime, who duked it out with 1,702 and 1,834 sales respectively, placing them just 104 units apart on annual sales figures. And while many of you watching this do prefer a fully electric to a plug-in hybrid model, it shows just how popular plug-in hybrids and range-extended EVs are, at least if they have a decent all-electric range. As I just mentioned, the Nissan Leaf has experienced something of a sales trickle of late in the US, but that's because the next generation 2018 Nissan Leaf is about to go on sale in January, and everyone is waiting for it to hit dealer lots. The new Leaf is, of course, already on sale in other parts of the world, but this week, US production officially started on the new Leaf in Smyrna, Tennessee. This coincided with Nissan's official media drive event in Northern California, which is one of the reasons why content has been a little light on the channel this week. Suffice to say, I enjoyed my drive, and while the new Leaf is evolutionary rather than revolutionary, it should be a solid contender for anyone wanting to buy a new EV next year. I'm not done editing the full review yet, so watch this space. Ever since the Dieselgate story broke in 2015, authorities have been working hard around the world to find and punish those responsible for designing certain model year diesel cars with electronic devices designed specifically to cheat in emissions testing. So far, we've seen Volkswagen pay some pretty hefty fines, but this week the second employee found guilty of their part in Dieselgate has been sentenced to 7 years in US prison and ordered to pay a $400,000 fine. Executive Oliver Schmidt, who was arrested 11 months ago in the US, has been awaiting trial. While his defense always maintained other executives were more involved in the illegal activity than he was, Schmidt's final sentence shows us how seriously the US justice system is taking this particular crime. Let this be a warning to others. Honda may have focused on hydrogen fuel cell vehicles rather than electric cars to date, but it seems that it's now working hard to catch up with the competition, telling the Nikkei this week that it's working on a charging platform that will make it possible to recharge a 240-kilometre, 150-mile electric car in just 15 minutes. While that's not a unique goal, it's about the same as other high-power charging being planned by other automakers along a similar time frame, it is good to see Honda working to close the gap. And with the automaker also announcing its commitment to develop two-way charging and V2G solutions, I think it's also a sign that Honda is less convinced of the supremacy of hydrogen than it once was. Delphi Automotive, known in the car world for its powertrain and aftermarket solutions, as well as its connected and autonomous vehicle work, has officially split this week into two different companies, with the majority of Delphi Automotive's offerings becoming Delphi Technologies and its autonomous division becoming Aptiv. While this story may seem a little inside baseball for a show like this, it's worth including because Aptiv, has been working on autonomous and self-driving car technology for a really long time, and it's got a fairly long list of OEM automakers that regularly work with it. And given some of the demonstrations we've seen thus far from the company, it's poised to become a very big player in the automotive world, at least behind the scenes. And there was a time not so long ago, when compressed natural gas was hailed by some in the auto industry as being a great stepping stone to lower emissions and improved air quality. In California, for example, buying a car that ran on natural gas would earn you a prized white HOV lane sticker, saving you plenty of time on the daily commute. As a consequence, cars like the Honda Civic GX, no longer made, sold in small but steady numbers for several years. But as Green Car Reports detailed this week, some Civic GX owners, like the Chalmers family of Seattle, can no longer refuel their car after public natural gas fueling stations have begun closing due to low demand. It's a reminder that these days, automotive technology is moving faster than the life of the cars built with them. Here's hoping we don't see the same problems with EV charging moving forwards, although, as owners of the first generation RAV4 EV will tell you, we already have. This week, we've heard plenty of stories of companies signing on to buy the Tesla Semi, placing orders for the mid-range zero-emission truck that will help them wean themselves off fossil fuels and help Tesla's balance sheet to boot. But at the same time, analysts and truckers alike are starting to question Elon Musk's quoted figures for the Tesla Semi. And yes, I say semi because I'm British. These include Tesla's claimed sub 2 kilowatt hours per mile figure for a fully loaded truck, the size and cost of those massive battery packs in both the new Roadster and the Semi, and the power requirements of the mega chargers, that's 1.2 megawatts each. The conclusion that either Tesla has broken some major boundaries in the battery world that we don't know about, or that there are going to be some changes made to the truck and Roadster before they launch. I don't know which one it's going to be. Do you? And finally, for as long as I can remember, Volkswagen has been trotting out concept electric cars at auto shows, promising us long-range, affordable, rapid-charging EVs that will help it become a world leader in plug-in cars in, supposedly, a few years' time. Well, now we've got a date to aim for, because Volkswagen announced last week that its new long-range mass-produced EV, the Volkswagen ID, is 100 weeks away from production. That means we'll see it sometime in late 2019 in Europe, with a market launch early 2020 depending on the market. Given other automakers are expecting to have long-range cars by then, it may be a little late, but Volkswagen. And on that note, it's time for me to say goodbye for the week. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to make sure you don't miss a single episode. And if you like the idea of watching this show with zero ads and you don't want to give any money to Google, why not consider donating to the show's running costs by making a donation to Patreon? Donate more than $5 a month and you get early access to all new shows, and you get to see them without ads because I'll give them to you on Vimeo. So follow the link below or at the end of this video to find out more. That's it for today, so thanks for joining me, have a great weekend, and until next time, keep evolving.